What's up, all you weekend warriors, and welcome back to the Weekend Dojo. Today's Sunday, of course, and it is time for Sunday stream. Unfortunately, I'm riding solo today. JT can't make it, but I figure this will be a good opportunity to kind of let you guys get to know me, and maybe I can get to know some of you when you guys show up. Before I start, though, I think it'd probably be a good idea just to send this link out for the stream. Sorry for being quiet, by the way. I'm just not just trying to stay focused here. All right. So while I wait for y'all to show up, let's talk a little bit about me personally. I live in New England. I won't say where, or, well, you've heard me before. I live in Vermont. Kind of a rural area. The sound you hear in the background, I have to apologize. A wood splitter is going on to split some logs for winter, because that's a thing we do around here. I would shut the window, but then it would be so incredibly hot in here that my computer would probably overheat again. So, what we're going to be doing tonight is, well, like I said, talking about me. As you guys may have seen from previous streams, I'm a bit of a music fan. From my hi-fi setup to my guitar, I love music. Specifically, I can't say specifically because I've got a lot of different tastes. Lately, it's been a lot of, well, genres derivative of the blues and rock and roll. So, you know, rock, hard rock, classic rock. And then you get into like some of the earlier metal bands and bands that might have been hard or heavier at the time, but by today's standards really aren't. I do have two guitars sitting right back here. One is electric, one is electric acoustic. I've been playing around with the electric one a little bit more, or sorry, the electric acoustic a little bit more, because the electric one, well, it's a Floyd Rose, which means it has a little lock at the top of the neck that prevents the strings from bending out of tune whenever you use the whammy bar. Tuned up and fixed up. And you may have heard me also talk about my hi-fi setup right here by the window. And actually, you know what? That's probably a good topic to sit on for a while. Well, sometimes I feel like I'm the last person in my generation to own a hi-fi setup. And when I say hi-fi setup, it's kind of a home entertainment system. I've got my receiver here on the bottom. Above that is a 5-disc changer, which I think I fixed. I need to test it. Above that is one of those combination DVD VHS boxes. I need to fix the VHS end. What you see here, just above my thumb, is a switch box, because for some reason there's no switch box built into my receiver. It seems to operate under the assumption that I'm sending video out to 2 different monitors. Then I've got, you know, some Philips speakers here and some Realistics here. Now, I gotta say, it felt like, you know, setting up a rocket ship the first time I went around, but now that I know what I'm doing, it's a lot easier. It's just one of those things where it's a lot of trial and error on your first go. Then you kind of learn how to wire everything up. You'll find that there is a lot to be gleaned from having a hi-fi setup. A lot of people like to have headphones these days, and I get that. Headphones, your music is right there. It's personal. You're not bothering anyone to an extent. And a good set of headphones can go a long way. But sometimes you want something that's a little keyed into the room. So you get some nice, like, you've got the right kind of setup. This is not keyed up to the audio of my room, by the way. If it was, you'd probably hear more of it. And I'm probably exploding the mic right now and back that off. Other than that, you've got, well, you have to pick what machines you want on what you're looking for in a hi-fi setup. So you can, for me, I picked the 5-disc CD changer. I wanted just a single CD player, but I was having a hard time finding one, so I decided to pull the trigger on the disc changer. And I like it, I really do. When it came to me, I didn't know it at the time, but the previous owner had left a disc in there that had jammed it. And so I had to go in there, open it up, take that disc out, and recover the disc that I had that was trapped in there. It's ridiculous. And now I'm going to have to figure out how to reset it because I had to move some things around, and it didn't like that. I still plan on adding more stuff to it. Like in the future, I'd like to add a tape deck, vinyl, a turntable for vinyls. Maybe and this is going to sound super hipstery, but I would really like a laser disc player just for the novelty of it. I mean, I've seen some go for really cheap because it was one of those formats that was more or less ignored. But I think it'd also be fun to have like one of the other forms of tape, like reel to reel, would be kind of cool. I think that would require more maintenance, though. I do have like I don't have an FM antenna hooked up to my receiver, but what I do have is just an old coaxial cable that I screwed into the port, and that's acting as my antenna. It does work, but I only get 5 stations, not because the cable is poor, but because of the area I live in. There's a lot of mountains around here, and that tends to make getting a radio signal very hard unless you are very within the town that the show broadcasts, the radio station broadcasts to. You can get, well, that's an exaggeration. I think there's only 5 stations that can be picked up at a time around here anyway, depending on your location, which sucks because I've got presets for more. As far as the quality of the speakers go, Philips speakers, they came from your average priced CD player speaker setup with a radio built in. I can't use that CD player anymore because it's not compatible with my receiver. I've tried everything. But the speakers were good, so I held on to those. I might sell the CD player radio combo at some point. I might do a giveaway. Who knows? The realistics are really nice. For their size, they are incredibly powerful, and they add a nice depth. As far as for background speakers, they really work well. And I've got it all wired up through that switch box because sometimes if I have to wire it into the secondary monitor port, then I have to switch to the second preset on there, and then I've got 2 other presets dedicated to my consoles below it. Because yes, all of my consoles are wired into the system. It's just a question of going in there and finding how they're wired in, so I know what to turn on and how. And I just got it wired up to like a little, let's see if I can, tiny little TV. You guys probably can't see it because of the light, but you guys? Oh, no, wait. Oh, wrong corner. Little TV. I don't really need a flat screen TV, specifically because I do love your typical CRT TV. Just a big chunk of it. Plus, I do like to play retro games, and sometimes I do want to get I just started collecting because I used to just borrow games from friends at the time. I don't have a light gun yet, So I want to get one of those before I decide on changing TVs, because if you get like a flat screen or a screen that is any kind of flat, it's or like a TV with any kind of screen that doesn't have a curve, I should say, the light gun does not pick up the image properly, which is unfortunate. As far as I'm aware, there aren't any fixes for that. I might have to get a third-party light gun produced for the modern age, because they typically don't age well, at least not the Nintendo Zappers. As far as my gaming setup goes, which again is wired into my hi-fi, I've just got, typical Wii, PlayStation 2, the old top loader NES, and then a retro trio, which I'm starting to think might be in need of some contact cleaning, which means I'm going to have to get just a little bit of cleaner fluid, not so much that it dampens or that it puts a damp on the contacts and ruins them, and just get in there with a Q-tip and clean them off. And by the way, audience, if you're watching, feel free to ask a question, give me a shout, let me know if there's anything about me that you'd like to hear. I will be going into plans for dojo-related products later, not products, productions later in the stream. So about anything like that, just please hold off, and we will get to it. As far as my other modes of entertainment go, well, like I said, I'm learning guitar. I play a little ocarina, which, I mean, I'm not the best out there. I'm average. It's just the ones I have are both of a plasticky nature. I know sometimes you don't get the best sound out of that, but I've had good luck with wood note and mountain ocarina. So if you were thinking of picking up an ocarina at some point, but your budget doesn't allow for the really nice ceramic ones, this isn't a bad alternative. And what I mean by sound quality is sometimes when you get one of these, and sometimes you get a bit of a windy noise. But with this, pretty decent sound. You just gotta control your breath. With Mountain Ocarina, they are all made of polycarbonate, but with different coatings. They do have them tuned in, though, so don't worry. I think that's about it for my hi-fi setup and, music interests. I do collect CDs, by the way. You know what? Let's talk about that. You've probably heard me beat into the ground on a previous, way back when we started doing these Sunday night streams, that I find that owning a physical copy of your music is preferable to getting it on, say, iTunes or the Google Play Store, Google Play Music, etc. I mean, I do have Spotify, I do have Google Play. I do use these services, but I do, if I can, I do prefer a CD on a hi-fi setup, just because there's something missing if you get it digitally. Not to mention, the song, when you don't own that copy of the song if you buy it digitally, you're typically just licensing it, kind of like with games. If you have the physical copy, then it's not, there's no risk of something going wrong and you're losing it and you don't have to pay for it again. And I find that to be very preferable. I would also like vinyl, because that's a warm sound that I really wish I had the ability to play in here. The only time I've ever heard it was in one of my favorite music stores out in town. And again, I'm probably sounding like the biggest hipster in the world for praising, CDs and vinyls and physical, music mediums over the digital, because everyone has digital. Everyone can just listen to stuff on their phone now. You don't need all this stuff. I know I don't need it. I really do. But I would, I really, really like having the physical medium. There's just some part of me that really connects with it that way. I suppose, chair's creaking. Chair's creaking funny. So, as far as physical game mediums go, I also think that that's going to stick around for a while. I know everyone, because people are going to continue to buy physical copies of games for whatever reason. I think it's a good thing, just to have like a little piece of history. Like this, for instance. This is a Tengen Black cart. These are for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and Nintendo really despises them. Some gamers will claim that this is what started the whole suing people over intellectual property, or what started people suing other people over infringement on intellectual property. Tengen did win. Tengen, they did win. They were able to produce these legally, but Nintendo was not happy about it. And the reason Tengen wanted to produce these carts is you'll find two types of Tengen carts out there. You'll have your typical gray NES cartridge with the gold Tengen around the corners here. I'm trying to peel this sticker off because it looks ugly. And the picture. But then you get ones that are black like this. Hello, Christian Torres. Hi, friend. Well, hello again. So the reason Tengen started producing these black carts is because at the time Nintendo was doing some shady dealings. They kind of had a monopoly on third-party support. Ironic that today they up until recently they didn't have that kind of support. Kind of allocating them to the mini games and party games market, because you had to essentially buy the cartridges from Nintendo in order to produce a game on their NES. So Tengen thought, okay, let's just cut out the middleman. We'll produce our own cartridges, code the game ourselves, and just release it. I don't know what the semantics were behind it, but Tengen did get away with it. I think it was because it's not exactly a hardware clone. They were building their cartridges differently, I believe. I don't know if it was Tengen or someone else who reverse engineered the lockout chip, but I think this does implement some version of the lockout chip to get past the security on the NES. Now, a fun, weird little thing about the Tengen Black carts, the stickers are upside down. I don't know why. Obviously, they went for a different shell shape to protect themselves from other problems. And it almost feels like a bootleg, and in a way it is, because Nintendo was not okay with this. However, this is the second black cartridge I own. I would like to own more, because it's a weird piece of gaming history. And Tengen made some good games, man. Like, I've got one of theirs called Gauntlet. I have to play that in my top loader NES because my Retro Trio doesn't like it. It glitches out. Gauntlet is sort of a time attack dungeon fighter game where you have to essentially get to the exit as quickly as possible in order to progress from level to level. Super Sprinters, a racing game. Pretty easy to understand. What's interesting to me is they don't have end labels per se. They put the end label on this angled surface right here. So if you're looking at it dead on, you can see it's very difficult to read that. But they have the same warnings on the back of the cartridge that Nintendo put on theirs. Do not store cartridge in extreme temperatures, well, they say hot or cold places. Don't hit, drop, and do not take apart. there are many people who have taken apart their Nintendo cartridges and it has ended up just fine. I think this is in reference to children. Do not touch the connectors. Do not get them wet or dirty. Doing so may damage the game. That is very important. As a matter of fact, getting them dirty is important. Like another wet or dirty is another important point I want to note. When you have a cartridge like this, do not, I know it's tempting, but do not blow in it. Because moisture is carried on your breath, that hits the contacts, that ruins them over time. If you do want to put in some kind of air force to get dust out of there because you don't feel like going in with a connector, with a Q-tip to clean it off, use air in a can. But do not blow in it using your own breath. And then it says, do not clean with benzene, paint thinner, alcohol, or other such solvents. Now that's a load of bull honky. A little bit of, I've used just a little bit of Windex on a Q-tip. Again, I don't get crazy. I don't turn the Q-tip blue with Windex. I just spritz a little bit over it and then get in there. And it works just fine. The game works afterwards. It'll survive. It is important to clean your cartridges regularly, though, because a lot of people don't have little plastic sleeves that these store in. I know I've only got like 1 or 2, and I've got like 10 or 15 games. So I need to find a solution to that. If anyone has like a solution for storing one's cartridges to prevent dust, aside from little plastic sleeves, like a box or something that actually looks nice, maybe with some cool wood paneling on it, you know, send me a link on Twitter or Facebook, and I would be happy to check it out. Let's talk about toys real quick, because that's the shtick on my channel. Yes, I uploaded a video today that was kind of choppy. It looked just fine in my editor after I watched it through, but then I uploaded and I guess something got crossed. Oh well. But that does mean that, and I know I promised it way earlier. I apologize for that. Real life caught up with me. It catches up with me, JT, and Kenny. So you'll have to forgive us that we are not career YouTubers, so we can't. So there are going to be days when we cannot put out a stream or a video, and that happens more often than we would like it to. So you'll have to work with us there. I apologize, but please work with us. I did finish getting together all the parts for my Menasor figure, and so the Menasor figure as a whole is going to be an ElChizzo's Pricey Plastic here on the dojo, which is not a live stream, it's a video. And I will be reviewing the individual components on my own channel. So, you know, you're going to have to do a lot of jumping back and forth. I am still looking for more. I wish I had the time and the money to go to TF Nation, but I don't get paid days off yet, and I just don't have the money at this moment. I'm actually saving. I may not even go to a convention this year, the way it's looking. I may end up just saving and saving, and you know, occasionally buying costume components, and then going back to Japan, and I'll live stream from there if that's something you guys would like to see. Because there are some areas that I happen to be in. People were really nice to me. Granted, you know, I got my fair share of gaijin comments over there. It happens. You have to expect that. So, you know, if you guys are interested, I would love to live stream from Japan. Again, this is not set in stone. There's a lot of planning that has to go into that, and I have to make sure that I can do it before I plan it. Since that's actually let's go into productions, I guess. I am buying costume components for Otaku Senkyu Refuger. I just ordered the visors and the gloves for the costumes. The visors are going to be going into the helmets. We're not going to go for the Power Ranger shtick where The visors are typically black, like sunglasses. Instead, we are going for reflective colors that kind of sort of contrast or, pop against our base. Me wearing the red suit, I'm going to have a metallic blue visor. Tabletop Tony, who's started trying to get his channel up and running. He doesn't have it up and running yet. He needs to pick out a board game to review. He's going to be Otaku Blue. He's going to have the metallic gold visor. San Minato Reviews. He's going to be doing anime reviews once he gets a tripod. And he's going to have the Otaku Yellow. His visor is going to be metallic purple against a yellow, his yellow helmet. And then Kuro Yatogami is his channel name now. He may change in the future, but essentially he is going to be Otaku Black. I'm going for red against his black costume at the moment. It may change colors later. I'm not sure. Oh, I say Otaku Black. He's going to be Otaku Killer. And that's what's going on my end. JT is still working on the game. Kenny does have his summer job that he has to attend to, so he won't be uploading as often as he'd like to on his personal channel. And we did have to move Saturday Tokuchatsu to Tuesday, which is also my meeting day with JT to discuss things about the dojo. So it's going to be a hectic day for me until September. So you guys are going to have to understand if I can't plan out videos as well as I normally do. I am going to try my hardest to create good content for you guys, and I'm sure everyone else is going to. But that's about it for as far as, well, Apollo Hack did tweets that he's not doing Reviewiverse for a while. Now he did say he would like to make a cameo in our Reviewiverse movie. It would just be a cameo, though, just a short little thing, maybe 2 scenes with him in it is what I've got planned so far. Maybe as many as 3, but nothing really excessive because he's trying to get his own stuff up and running as well. If you haven't seen, if you don't know what I mean by Apollo Hack, go check out his channel. Apollo Hack is just his character that he plays. If you're into tokusatsu like I am, if you're into Godzilla and Gamera and giant monsters, go check out the channel Monstrosities, a tokusatsu blog. It's an amazing channel. He's finally in a place where he can actually upload footage again and not just audio-only videos. Which he was beating himself up more than anyone else could. So go check his stuff out. And just as a general open letter to reviewers out there, if you review anything in the nerd culture, say like anime, manga, toys, video games, anything within that group, don't be afraid to just have fun with it. And if you would, and keep in mind, we'd love to collaborate with more people, even if it's just for like a fun little joke at the beginning of a show. Don't be afraid to hit us up on Twitter because we would love to talk to you guys. If you're specifically just reviewers, I mean, I know our regular viewers who aren't reviewers would love to hit us up on Twitter, but if you guys all hit us up, even though there's not that many of you yet, it would really overwhelm us. So I would like to keep the the Twitter DMs strictly allocated for video making business for a while until we figure out another solution. It's no, it seems like it's just me. If you guys think that we could stand to be on more social media, let us know where you would like to see us show up, and we'll see if we can do it. Um, let's see, what else is there to cover, really? Well, we are still looking for more members. So, if specifically, I think it would be really cool to have a cosplayer on the team. Nothing really. We're not looking for anything really specific. Just a player who could, uh, maybe not like do full-on tutorials for full costumes or whatnot on the dojo, because I imagine they would want to keep that on their own channel. But if you wanted to, if you had like little things that you wouldn't put on your channel, like say you really don't like making props, but you realize how important it is for a costume, you don't put those videos on your channel. Maybe you put them on the dojo, and then leave a link in the description back to your channel, keeping in mind that joining the dojo does not mean that your channel is locked into the dojo network. Your channel is your own stuff. You're just free to plug it while you're on the dojo. We want to promote artistic freedom as far as the dojo goes. As far as other things, we would love to see like movie reviews. If you guys think that if you guys would like to review older, newer movies, what have you, just keeping in mind, you do have to be careful. Movies a certain way on YouTube now. It's ridiculous, especially considering fair use laws, but it's to really prove that point to YouTube, because they get their money from their advertisers, and their advertisers want things done a certain way. People who don't even own the copyright will flag a video for copyright infringement just because they think they're being a hero, or they're being funny. Don't be that person. Unless it's very blatantly not protected under fair use laws, don't screw with it. Don't try to screw with people, because it does impact us quite heavily. It's just a push of a button to you, but it's days and days of effort trying to prove our case. It's not funny. Luckily, because I review mostly physical mediums, like physical art mediums like toys and game pads and candy, that seems to be a little more safe from copyright infringement. I can't predict the future. So it may or may not. I don't know. As far as other so we've covered cosplayer and movie reviewer for the dojo. I suppose if you're also interested in reviewing comic books, like comic books and not manga, as we have someone who's interested in reviewing manga for us at the moment. If you would like to, review stories as a whole without, giving away spoilers and ruining the comic for people, or if you just want to give your superhero on the dojo while you save your full-on reviews for your channel, that would be awesome. We would love that. We are still trying to figure out what we want to do on Fridays, because I think it'd be cool to have a Dungeons and Dragons game on Friday. I asked a friend who's a little more versed in it than I am if he'd be interested as well. He lets me know. It would be a little tricky because you have to prove that the dice rolls are good, which means you just have to trust people. I think it'd be fun to have sort of a campaign that we revisit once a week, catch up with things, 2-3 hours on a Friday night. I think that would be a lot of fun. And that's about it for dojo stuff. I mean, I could probably talk about some more stuff and ramble on and on. But I suppose like the quickest thing I could do is just show you recent acquisitions for my recent nerdy acquisitions that I've come across. Like, oh, this isn't the one. Where did I put it? Well, I recently bought a copy of Pokemon G bootleg Pokemon game. It's actually just Mobile Phone Beast Telefang over in Japan. I also at a local comic shop. I also bought, a new set of dice and this little 3D printed life counter. It's a little wobbly. I think that's just because their measurements weren't spot on. I don't know exactly what plastic they used, but I may go in there with some floor polish and just thicken it up so that it's a little doesn't spin as freely. Because I think they were going for something that clicked into place using friction, but I don't think it worked all the way around. Well, click is the wrong word concerning friction, but either way, the dice I really enjoy. This camera doesn't pick them up so well, but that's not just plain red. It's ever so slow. You see a bunch of swirls in there. The pips are in gold. Now, this is like the full group of dice that I bought are all like this. From my D20 all the way down to my D4. I did a set. I just went into the little dice, one die for 25 cents box in the same comic book store I bought the Life Counter and Pokemon Jade, and just picked through it, and I happened to find that these matched. So, yeah, if you're of a pawing through a dice bin mind, go to your local game store, board game store, comic book shop, what have you, and just dig through the dice bin, because I think sometimes they just take whole sets of dice and dump them in there to fill the bin up. Yeah, and yes, I do play Dungeons and Dragons. I play 5th edition. If you guys like, and I love the hardware for it. I love the dice. I love the life counters. I love, the bags that you can, the dice carrying bags and everything. If you guys know of any cool, merch that can be used in tabletop games like Magic the Gathering and, well, I guess Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dungeons and Dragons, just tabletop games that have hardware out for them. Let me know. Again, send me a link over on Twitter, or on Facebook. I really love this kind of stuff. And maybe it's just like a little toy nerd in me, just sitting there going, yes, I can see why people like this. Who knows? And I apologize, but I am going to be cutting the stream a little bit short this time. I'm going to be on for another 4 minutes. So if anyone pops up within the next 4 minutes, feel free to give a shout, say hi, ask a question, what have you. So yeah, if you've got a question for me, because I'm only going to be on for another few minutes. So now this is the Q&A section. I'm going to keep rambling on and on to avoid dead air while you guys do that, but keep in mind that I will drop what I'm saying to answer your questions. The comic book store that I bought these dice in this life counter at still did like their weekly Magic the Gathering drafts, because before it was the comic book store it was a different comic book store owned by different people. And there go the dogs. They saw someone outside. They're not angry or anything. They're just excited. I really, really like the idea of, just being able to take a Thursday evening, go into your favorite comic book store, play some Magic the Gathering, and they had prize support and everything. It was a DCI number. Um, but yeah, I miss that, man. And like all my other friends, they kind of exclusively play Yu-Gi-Oh. So or at least the friends that are around all the time, kind of exclusively play Yu-Gi-Oh. Person that I know and am friends with is online, so we have to play online. And it's not the same as holding a card in your hand. If you can find a good alternative to that, let me know. I do think I need to look up a new place that does MTG drafts up in my area. As far as I think that's pretty much all. I can keep rambling on and on, but I've only got like another minute or so. So I guess I'll just take this minute to, say thanks for watching, everyone. I saw a couple of you tuned in earlier, and then some of you dropped off. I get that. It's okay. Some people don't have the time. You just don't have the time. Some people aren't interested. Maybe what we make just isn't your style. That's fine too. If you did like this stream, and you do like the Weekend Dojo's content, and you want to see more, hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, if you have ideas for discussion topics for Sunday night stream, when there is more than one person, tweet them at weekend_dojo, all lowercase, and we will pick appropriate ones that have the most popular results, and those will go into a poll, and people can decide via that poll what they want us to talk about. Please don't, try to get us started about stuff like YouTube feuds and the best and the worst YouTubers. That is because that is a very cheap and unimaginative way of grabbing attention on the internet. Want to deal with drama? We're just a bunch of idiots on the internet having a good time, as close to the weekend as we can possibly get. The name implies we'd be doing almost exclusively weekend-based stuff, but again, because of schedules, things have to get stretched around. But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna try our hardest to make it work. But we do have day jobs because, as it stands right now, we're paying for every little piece of production. We may set up a Patreon after more of you guys show up, and we'll set up a reward system for certain. Remember that we're only human. Thanks again for watching. You know where to check us out on social media as of now. If you want to see if you think of other media sites that you'd like to see us on, leave a comment after this stream becomes a video. Mention it to us on social media, and we'll see what we can do. I want to thank you guys for being patient with us. Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you later, Bughead.